All right. Listen, sometimes things don't go as planned, and so you gotta abort mission. So far, mission aborted, but I think coach might be getting it figured out. I don't know. He's backstage. Maybe he's got it. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know what's going on. I was giving him a little bit of a hard time backstage, though. Pretty funny. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show. But we do have three really good topics. First one is the Brandon Aiyuk situation. I don't know how you can do a show without talking about him nowadays, especially after what came out today. But we're going to talk about a couple of other things as well. In the spirit of Madden, we're going to rank the top 10 49ers. And then a major publication said that they believe Brock Purdy is the number one candidate to regress this year at the quarterback position. So we're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about those things plus more, and we're going to do it all next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports. We are giving you our take down to the last second. And it's Monday night, which means I got my guy Coach in the building. Let's see if his audio's working. Hey, yeah. There it is.
What's good, bro? How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Did you go back to Old Trusty? You find Old Trusty and made it work?
No, man. Hey, you gotta be able to put it pause, but you gotta be able to put the cord all the way in. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember my first time doing a live show. It was a while ago, about 3 years ago now. And I learned that way back then. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, you got to put it all, you got to put the cord literally all the way in. It's interesting. It's interesting. These things happen.
Brother Bob's over here celebrating the only trophy his team's going to get anytime soon. It looks like the Celtics are going to win a championship. Congrats to you and your Celtics, and thank you for being a member for 13 months. Appreciate you. All right, Coach, let's just jump right into it, man. We got the Brandon Aiyuk situation. First of all, we had what came out over the weekend was that Brandon Aiyuk and the 49ers contract situation had stalled. And then today we get a post on his very own TikTok with his girl recording it. He's talking to Jaden Daniels, and he basically says, hey, they don't want me. They don't want me anymore. And Jaden Daniels is celebrating, I don't know, presumably what I'm thinking is he's excited. Maybe they can get their hands on him. Obviously, these two are very good friends. They've talked about playing together way back when. What are your overall thoughts about what's going on? And we'll get deeper into the situation because you and I had a good back and forth on your show Saturday night, or Saturday rather. And I think there's some good things to talk about, but things have changed. Things have shifted. What are your thoughts about Brandon Aiyuk and what happened today on his TikTok?
Plausible deniability, man. Was having this conversation, just kind of look, so I feel like Brandon Aiyuk is understanding that, you know, I need to be able to keep my market and keep my cachet as a professional. And the last thing that I want to do is leave an organization like the 49ers as a malcontent. And I feel like, you know, when you're going through a breakup, you kind of start clamoring for position because you understand that the breakup is about to happen and I'm not going to get railroaded. You're not going to get railroaded. I'm going to leave with dignity. You're going to leave with dignity. And at times you can see kind of everybody kind of going for broke in a sense. And for me, I think that a conversation like that with Brandon is more plausible deniability of him kind of putting it out there like, hey, they didn't want me. Not, I feel like there's a silent but to that. The silent but is they didn't want me, but I also did ask for $30 million, right? But, you know, so, you know, two things can be true at the same time. But I have looked at it from a standpoint of like, BA wouldn't put this out at this time if it didn't ring true to something. And if honestly speaking, this really doesn't have anything to do necessarily what what the real time situation is. But from BA's perspective, it kind of still feels like he is a little uninformed. He's still uninformed on ultimately players in his position, what has usually happened in years past. So, you know, I understand, but it's more kind of just it's repurposing more of what we've seen, right? It's the posturing, the cryptic tweets, the more, you know, vague he can be, you know, but it's like, don't forget the numbers, man. Like, either you gonna play this year or you not. What you saying? You not gonna play?
Maybe. I mean, okay, so let's really
Who's
break
done it?
down.
Where's the precedent?
Well, I mean, it has happened. It's not like a player hasn't sat out. It's been a while. Well, Chris Jones did it last year. He sat out and he got paid immediately. So they're like, yeah, we can't win without you. So go ahead and get in the building. We'll pay you.
Okay. I just don't think there's an equivalent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's ideal. I don't think, and it's definitely. I mean, you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire if you decide to sit out. But let's break down what he actually said. He said, "They don't want me anymore." Now, that doesn't mean that they told him, "Hey, Brandon, by the way, we don't want you on the team anymore." Is that? Do you believe that that's what was said, or do you believe it's as simple as, "Hey, I've got a demand, that 30 million that you're talking about, or whatever that demand is," and they've said they're not going to meet that demand, which is them saying, "We're out on the Brandon Aiyuk business at the price that you're asking for." Is that kind of more in line with what you think has happened here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't think that they're necessarily telling him we explicitly don't want you. I feel like they're telling him we don't want you at 30, right? We don't want you at 30 at what your asking price is, right? You know, and it is a little disingenuous for it to be put out there as like they say they don't want me back. I mean, that's kind of sounding like a rookie who's barely trying to make the team and he's holding hat in hand, hoping that they give him another chance. That's not the context of that at all. Where Brandon Aiyuk was just sitting at the doors, the front offices of the 49ers, waiting in the lobby on his fate. Like, you know, it didn't work that way. You know, this has been a lot of volleys have gone back and forth in this dance, right? Brandon's camp has sent overtures. The Niners have sent overtures. The Niners have moved accordingly based off Brandon's actions, and Brandon has moved accordingly in social media and how he's spoken based off the Niners' actions. So there ain't nobody innocent in this situation, is what I'm trying to say, Jess. Nobody's innocent. And from that perspective, because we know that nobody's innocent, the first person who tries to make it a good and evil thing is nefarious off rip. You know, like they didn't want me back. It's like, no, bro, this is your, and then you got to look at it this also. This is Brandon Aiyuk's first contract negotiations, right, of his career. We don't hear a lot from Brandon, right, as far as like interviews. And that's just really not his personality, I don't believe, right? He's kind of a close-knit, I have a tribe, I talk to who I'm close with. I'm not necessarily an outward going type of person, right? I'm not bubbly so much. So this is kind of like a first test case on what is it like to look at Brandon for like an extended amount of time. And I have to be honest with you, he's a little immature. He's a little petty. He is. He's a hard worker, right? He really cares about his craft, but he's a little sensitive. And I mean, you know, go figure, professional athletes are immature and sensitive. I get it. But at the same time, what you do realize is that whatever happens in the middle of this, Brandon Aiyuk could have done a lot of things to help him out. He'll help himself out along this track. And seeing that post is it was disappointing. It was, you know, even like his girl or his sister, whoever that is in the background, he got me blogging and shit. And it's just like, Come on, bro. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is like you got Jaden Daniels reacting to what our situation is going on. And it's just like, I understand that this is kind of like the new age of things. But, you know, if I was Brandon's agent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would be telling him, like, you know, this isn't a good look for you professionally. And I understand that you're going through this back and forth with the 49ers, but there's got to be other organizations looking at this and saying to themselves, well, man, when we're up on Brandon's contract and if we got something going on, depending on the context of the situation, I mean, could we be going through this right now? You know what I mean? It's like, for what it's worth, the Niners have been, you know, you can say what their intentions are. You can say what they've told Brandon Aiyuk behind closed doors or how they felt about him. But whatever they've done, when it comes time to publicly, you know, representing the negotiation situation between them and Brandon, I feel like the 49ers have been class personified, right? They've said that they want Brandon back, that they're interested in having him. You know, we're trying to get to the table to get things close as possible between both sides. But, you know, this type of stuff from Brandon, man, is like,
Yeah, but see, I'm going to push back on that because they've let some things go. Matt Mayoko said some things, and that's, you know, that's straight from the team. Like, Matt Mayoko isn't talking on some happenstance about whatever. It's basically saying, like, listen, they're giving a number and Brandon isn't accepting. What do you want him to do? Like, what do you want us to do? So if they trade him, it goes back to the plausible deniability on your side from the Brandon Aiyuk side, which is, hey, we tried to give him 26 million. I mean, you hardworking people know how much 26 million is, right? But the reality is 26 million is not in line with what other players are getting at his caliber. He deserves more than that, or he deserves to ask for more than that. Now, maybe the 49ers don't have to pay him that. That's definitely also true. But what he's asking for is not out of line with what is out there in the market. It's just not. Now, if you don't want to meet those demands, then don't.
Is he asking for 30?
Let's say he's asking for 30. That's not out of line.
You don't think that?
No.
Brandon Aiyuk is top 5?
I didn't say he's top 5.
That's what top 5. That's what 30 signifies.
Jalen Waddle's getting paid top 5. I don't think he's top 5 either.
He ain't getting paid 30.
He's getting paid top 5 right now.
He's getting paid 28.
Which is like top 5 money. He's getting paid top 5 money. That's top 5 right now. That's the 5th most.
That ain't 30, man.
It does. So what are we talking about? The difference between 30 and 28 and a half? That's what we're literally talking about.
I mean,
5% of the salary cap.
Okay, before we were talking about the difference between 26 and 30. So I mean,
yeah, because one team's at 26.
The delta is that's my main point. You see what I'm saying? Like, what it is what it is. I'm just saying, like, you know, for 26, BA is coming at this like this is third deal. You know what I mean? Like, he about to be up out of here. You know, I just don't like the energy around it. Seems like a little too terse. Like, why are you so cantankerous? Like, why are you so immovable? You know what I'm saying? This is personal. You know, 26 is fair, man. 26, 27, I ain't mad at that. Like, for you not to come up off something. Now, I can see if the Niners was at 26, they stayed at 26 and didn't budge, but 30, man.
But how do we know that they're willing to budge? I mean, what if they're like, listen, we're at 26 and you're at 30. We ain't moving. So accept it or don't. Like, would that change your opinion at all?
Say that again.
You're operating under the assumption that it's BA that won't budge. What if the 49ers are at 26 and they won't budge?
If the 49ers are at 26 and they won't move at all,
they're just immovable.
That's a different context.
But that might be what we're talking about. We don't know. Maybe BA is like, listen, all right, I'm good. Like, let's meet in the middle at 28, but I want X guaranteed. And they're like, yeah, no, that's cool. We're at 26. So
I don't think we'll ever know the number, right? Like, we'll never know the number.
No. Well, I mean, we'll know when it's signed, like what they agreed to, right? Like that we will know. But I think that'll tell us a little bit too, or at least the assumption. Like the public perception right now is the 49ers are at 26 and BA's at 30. So as fans, we're looking at it saying, okay, well, if the 49ers come up 2 and BA comes down 2, we're meeting in the middle, right? But there's so many other things to that. Are they okay? So BA says, all right, I'll meet you at 28. And they're like, okay, but we're doing that over 3 years. And he's like, but I want a 4-year deal. And they're like, no. Or, hey, BA's like, I want 45 fully guaranteed. And they're like, we got 35. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many other things more than just the 28, 30, 26 that really play into this thing that we really don't have any clue as to what it is. And I think it's fair to say that probably both sides at this point, again, we're still a month and a half away from even training camp starting. I think it's fair to say that probably both sides have their heels dug in a little bit and they're playing a game of chicken. Now we'll see as time wears on if Aiyuk doesn't show up to training camp, which I think at this point he's probably not going to if he doesn't have a deal in hand. And if he does, he'll do the hold in thing. Then we'll start to see what happens. But I think both sides are probably being a little quote unquote unreasonable as far as what the market's saying and maybe what Aiyuk is asking for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're both dug in clearly. And if you think about it, the Niners, I don't know, man. Like the Niners already showed their hand, basically trying to move off of them before the draft. Like that right there showed that I don't see. That's another thing, though. It's like, why would the Niners start shopping BA or Debo? Let's be fair, because we didn't know there was reports of both of them being shopped at the time. But why would the Niners shop BA during contract negotiations before the draft if they had already ascertained off of what BA was asking for? Like, really, if you think about it, like, all right, me and you are going to camp, right? We're going to camp coming up this summer, right? How long or how tough or difficult was the negotiations of you and I getting a plane ticket together, getting a hotel, getting the dates together, and planning that thing? Like, how long did that take?
Not long at all.
Like 10 minutes?
15 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, like 10, 15. Like, it was kind of like, oh, we're going to camp. Yeah, you want to go to camp? Yeah. Hey, go buy this ticket. All right, I'm about to go buy this ticket. Oh, bought the ticket? Yeah. Oh, ticket's bought. Oh, this is what we're doing in the hotel room? Oh, yeah. How much does it cost? Oh, yeah, nah. Want to do this? Oh, sure. Have this money. Hey, let me know how much it costs. Cool. And you know why that negotiation happened is because we both had the money. There was nobody hemming and hawing, okay? And we were both being honest brokers, right? I'm not telling you I can go when I really have to go get PTO at my job. I'm not blowing you off every time me and you talk and it's like, oh, so what? Hey, you buy your ticket yet? Oh man, I'm not calling you every day like, yo, what's up with the hotel room, bro? Like, did you order like, no. It's not hard to do these things. And also, it's not easy. It's not hard to understand that the Niners pretty much ascertained quickly that with the negotiations with Brandon Aiyuk that this is not going to get done. And I think that they've been saying it with their actions for quite some time now. You know what I'm saying? I think they've said it with the offseason. I think they said it with the draft. I think they said it with free agency, trying to go get Justin Jefferson. I think they said it with picking up 2 receivers. I think they've also said it with signing other players on the team. I think they, you know what I mean? Like also prioritizing like, hey, this money, we are not worried about signing Brandon right now. We understand where he's at right now, and we are way away from that. So at this stage of the game, what Brandon doesn't understand is that, and here's the rub, he's going to stay. He's not going anywhere, right? The rub is that the Niners, they can make all of their moves, but they hold court. The house always wins. It's like, yeah, we can try to get somebody else. We could try to trade you, waive you, offer you, lowball you, and you can be upset about all of these things. You can, you start a podcast, Brandon, but your ass better be here week 1 to get your $14 million. Because we can have you here and franchise you while you talk about 30. So it can get, we can do it. You know what I'm saying? You'll be the most frustrated, underpaid receiver in the NFL. You want to play games? And that's 2 years down the road. So that's why I'm saying, like, hey, man, if you're going to negotiate with somebody who got a gun and you got a knife, talk nice. Don't talk about how unfair the game. That ain't the game right now. Your life is on the line. Don't nobody care about you talking about how unfair the situation is. Nobody cares about that. You know what I'm saying?
Here's what I don't understand from the here's what I don't understand from the 49ers side of things is if the 49ers knew that, then why not trade him? Like why did you go through the whole draft and say, hey, he's a priority and we're going to get it done. We're just going to worry about it after the draft. Like, why even go through that process? Just trade him. You could have traded him on draft night.
Jesse,
get rid of him.
The reason why is because it's cheaper to keep her. It's like, look, man, we know what you worth. We almost trying to jukes the league into giving us more than what we know you're really worth. The problem is that you don't know what you're worth. We offered you the 26. We put you out here in the market. We got back second round picks. Nobody gave us anything that we would honestly want to take. So, like, come on. They did. They tried to trade him. So what? The Niners should take a loss just because Brandon Aiyuk don't want to take a deal? So now all of a sudden,
if he's willing to sit anyways,
he ain't. Well, then that's on him. That's it. Look, that's his cross to bear. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go sit, you want to do that to your career, then do that. It's unfair. It's not right. Is Brandon Aiyuk worth $30 million in this market in a vacuum? Yes, I'll say it. Yes, he is in a vacuum on his own. But that styles make fights, man. That's not real life. You can't shoulda, coulda, woulda your way out of it. The issue is that Brandon Aiyuk is on a team that's highly talented. We've become top heavy over the years, okay? And now he's coming up on a position where he wants market value, but his skill set doesn't replicate the type of money that he's asking for. That's the long and short. That's not even like personal. That's just the long and short of it. And if he wants to exasperate the situation by sitting out and not playing, all right, good luck. All of these people that are in the chat right now, you and I both right now, we already know this. We are football fans to the day we die, out of sight, out of mind. I don't care what Brandon Aiyuk is sitting for. The day we start seeing him not playing games, he's out of sight, out of mind. And
I think the 49ers have already won the court of public opinion at this point. Feels like it anyways.
Yeah. So, what I'm telling you is that that's what's waiting for Brandon Aiyuk around the corner, right? That's what's waiting for him. It's like, all right, how much do you want to stand on this money to the point where how many people are going to be willing, right, to defend a guy trying to get $30 million versus his 26? Like, come on, Jesse. Like, there's not a lot of people that are going to do that, especially once ball gets going. This is cool now because we don't have anything to talk about, right? And it's like we can like get granular and like, really talk about the different sides of it. But man, once camp starts, once we start talking about how Brock looks, once we start talking about the defense,
listen, I will guarantee you, we get into camp and BA is not there. That's going to be discussed every single day. And it should be discussed every single day.
You forget what type of this team buried a number 3 overall quarterback alive in front of me.
And it was talked about every single day, though. But it was talked about every single day.
Potatoes. Brandon Aiyuk is small. If you think that the Niners can't handle a little bit of a receiver controversy,
oh, listen, I didn't say they can't handle it, but I did. But it will be discussed every single day. It will be. It just will be.
Okay. I'm just saying, I don't think that this thing will be a speed bump compared to what we've dealt with quarterbacks. Just being real with you. Like it's really not going to be the flex you think it is. It's not. It's not. I'm telling you, especially with Brock and Ricky Pearsall is out there and Cowing is getting ingratiated. I'm telling you, bro, like,
well, Ricky hasn't signed either. Speaking of receivers that haven't signed, Ricky hasn't signed.
He gonna sign, bro. kidding me?
I mean, I'm sure, but he still hasn't signed. There's a reason he hasn't signed. I mean, this should be pretty cut and dry, right?
I understand that. And that's an amazing question by Sean Livingston. But is he really worth 30 mil in this offense? That's nobody wants to answer that question.
But that's why the 49ers wouldn't pay him. That's the 49ers side of things. I think we can all see that. They don't believe he is, obviously. So if they're not willing to go there, then that's fine. But Aiyuk, they're both right. Right. And that's fine. I can see it from both sides. Aiyuk is not unreasonable to ask for. We'll just assume it's 30. Aiyuk is not unreasonable to ask for 30 million. The 49ers are not unreasonable to say, we're not going to give you 30 million based off of how we play ball. But that's how you get a standoff like this. It's understandable. I can see why we're at this situation, which I can also see why this situation might be a little bit different than the others, and that Aiyuk may be willing to sit and the 49ers may be willing to let him play his fifth-year option that would be the first time that either of those things have happened in the Shanahan era. No player is sat, and no player has played on their fifth-year option that they really wanted to keep. It's never happened.
Yeah. I just,
McGlinchey did, right? But they didn't want to keep McGlinchey. That was like, all right, well, we're going to find a succession plan.
Yeah,
so,
God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I will tell you, man, like I don't see them budging. I mean, and really, at 28 million, I don't think 28 million is bad, bro. I think that's adequate.
But we know that they're at 26 right now. With that we do know. That was what came out a week ago, is that the 49ers are at 26. So if we assume that is an accurate report from ESPN, which I do, then okay. They're at 26, which is definitely lowballing. I don't care what your offense accounts for. What we do know is he can get 1,300 yards in this offense and can be a reason why you went to the Super Bowl, making a miraculous catch when you guys needed it most. That we do know. And 26 is not fair.
All right, so let's talk about the money then. Who goes? Because the elephant in the room is that
Debo.
Next year. There you go. The elephant in the room is Debo Samuel. That's the elephant in the room. So what you're really saying is that when you ask him for $30 million, you're telling us that you want to get Debo cut. And I just don't think the Niners are ready for that. Kyle wants everyone. He doesn't want to make those type of decisions on offense.
Well, then he better not pay Brock. He better not pay Brock if you want everyone. That's not the way this game works. Brock's about to take you behind the cleaner, man, and make you take your pants off and shake all your pockets loose, man. What are we talking about?
I was like, where is he going with this? Yeah, I mean, Brock's going to get paid.
Hold 50. You at gunpoint. So
he's about to get paid 50. Brock's getting paid 50
minimum. That's if he's being nice.
Yeah,
that's if he's being nice.
So who do they pay? Who goes? Is it Debo that goes? Are they depending on? I mean, would it be Trent when he finally retires? I think Trent is it cool to say that Trent is officially year to year now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Trent's year to year now. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I mean, to be real, after next year, you hope he retires after next season. You hope that you can get him to play this season and next, and then you almost hope that he retires at 38 years old when Brock's money really kicks in, and then he just helped you out big time by foregoing $40 million cap hit or whatever that number is. You know what I mean? Like that, you're doing us a favor at that point. Thanks, Trent. We appreciate it. We didn't want to pay your 38, 39-year-old butt anyways with this quarterback about to make $55 million. So
Terradome with the mean wire reference. The price of the brick going up. My name is my name.
All right. So we've discussed everything about what's happening right now. The bottom line is this. Week 1 is BA in uniform with the new deal in hand.
All right. We'll see. We'll see.
That's the question. Do you think he is? That's a question. Do you think he's in uniform week 1 with a new deal in hand? Or is he in uniform without a new deal? Is he not in uniform without a new deal?
Yeah, I think he's in uniform week 1 without a new deal.
Okay.
I think that he's not going to get a new deal, and I think that eventually he's going to show up, and what it's going to be is, you know how teams are, bro. It's like, for some reason, when it's a player trying to get his money, it's the organization versus the player, right? Then what happens is that it gets ugly, and it morphs into this whole thing of like, then the players have to like distance themselves from like the situation. Like they'll have to distance themselves from the teammate, like, because, they're all yes men, they're company men. So it's like, we're worried about the season, worried about who's here. We can't worry about who's not here. Right. But then eventually, like, what happens is that there's always like this, like, dust settling moment where the team comes on, the player comes in, and then for some reason, all of this stuff that we've been hearing about Brandon Aiyuk, he's going to come in, he's going to be like, look, I'm ready to play ball. I'm focused. I'm excited. I just want to see my teammates. I'm ready to go. Because at the end of the day, these guys are creatures of habit. He misses his teammates. He misses his team. He'd rather be there doing getting ready for the season just like anybody else. Like, the only thing about BA is that I think that's kind of like what's unsettling about this. The energy just seems like he could care less about the team. That's the energy that I feel from him. It's not so much as, hey, the Niners better come up with my bread. You know what I'm saying? Or they owe me. I feel like his energy is almost kind of like y'all already know what it is. Like, y'all better come up with my bread. Like, almost as if the Niners owe him the money, not like he earned the money. And there's a difference, in my opinion. So I believe that even with the way he kind of like went through this, I don't think that he'll be rewarded with a contract, man. It takes two to tango, man. It really does. And when you're trying to get paid from like a large entity and you're a independent contractor in business, that matters. I know people don't like to admit that because it's like, hey, if I'm at the table, no. We're an organization worth billions of dollars, okay? And you are an asset who has come into our enclave, who's earned the right to negotiate with us, all right? And we developed you. So let's have a real conversation, all right? We can compensate you. You can tell us. I'm not saying that Brandon Aiyuk can't voice when he feels as though that he's being underballed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to ask for his market rate, but there is a little bit of like disrespect along the way that is kind of like made me kind of feel like a organization, any organization, not just the Niners, any organization would say, oh, no, we're not going to handle that. We're not going to put up with this. We're not going to put up with this. And you know what? You will play. You will play week 1 for $14 million. All right. Like you
give me the order. So then give me the order. Give me the order. You said he'll show up week 1 without a deal in hand. So what do you think is second most likely to happen? That he has a deal in hand and he shows up week 1, or he sits out without a deal? What do you think second most likely to happen?
I don't know. I think he may escalate it. There could be a situation where he sits out. He sits out. Because there's gonna be like that, it's like arguing with your wife or your girl. It's like you can stand on business, but so much. You still got to go to bed at night. Like, you still got to go. It's like, and no matter how big of the issue it is, you do get to that crossroads of like, okay, how am I going to come down off of this? You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like BA saying they don't want me to stand up there. You're going to have to eat a little bit of crow when you show up week 1 playing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Is he going to understand at that moment, all right, the jig is up. Talking on social media during the summer is one thing, but actually showing up and being like, him not showing up because of a contract negotiation doesn't look bad for the Niners. What that says is that you'd rather not do your job and let others who depend on you suffer because you can't get your business handled. That's what that means. That's what that means. And holding out, I understand that there's going to be players that understand that are going to be like, yo, get your money. I understand, but that's going to be hard for you to sell to like the public. You know what I'm saying? And you can't
No,
say
it
that you
definitely
don't.
is.
Yeah, and you can't say that you don't care about public opinion, or you wouldn't be on social media doing all of this
Agree with
stuff.
that. I agree with that. I think most likely to happen is that he has a new deal and he plays week 1. I think second most likely is he doesn't have a deal, and I agree with you. He sits, and then the least likely thing to happen is he shows up week 1 and he doesn't have a new deal in hand. So that's my order. I think a deal gets done. I've been pretty steadfast in that the whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
I think they want. I do think they want him here. I do, and I think that
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
I think cooler heads prevail. I do. I
Yeah,
think cooler heads
we're both in
prevail. He'll
agreement
be
on
there.
that. He's not getting
Yeah.
traded. I think that'd
No.
be bad for Brandon, and that'd be bad for the Niners. The Niners are they're not going to get anything nearly close to compensation to what Brandon is actually worth. Okay. A team knowing that situation, it would be in their advantage to lowball the Niners, right? We understand that you can't get this guy signed. We will get it. We'll lowball you. So they're not going to get compensation. And then on top of it, Brandon's going to go to a team that's more than likely not a contender, because the Niners are not going to trade with anybody that they feel like they're going to see in the winter. So, no, I don't want him to get traded. I think that would be the worst thing that you could do.
Okay. Brother Bob says, Coach blamed me for his audio issues. Still my bro. He definitely did. Dazza says the 49ers have to pay him or trade him. Delaying is only going to hurt this team. Ish or get off the pot.
I can respect that.
Samir says, what's up, gents? I need some perspective. Do you see non-49er players playing the social media game as much as this? I do. I do. I definitely do. This is, yeah.
It's not exclusive to us.
No, it's not. It's definitely not.
They all chirp.
Calvin says he has to play or he doesn't count as a 5th year and will have the same issue next year. He does, but he only has to play 6 games. So that's a lot of sitting out he can do. It's a lot of sitting out. Brother Bob says Celtics about to raise number 18, pay BA. Good for you, man. I'm happy that you got a team that's winning a championship. Tia says it's personal because of how Kyle treated BA early on. I'll add to that, Tia. I think it's personal because the things that are said during negotiations.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Here's what I find interesting, and this has somehow been lost over the course of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But BA's agent is still a guy who views the GM of the 49ers, John Lynch, as like a mentor to him. He was in his wedding.
He was in his wedding.
Sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying like he's a double agent or anything like that, but it makes you wonder, like, what is BA actually hearing? What is being said actually back to the organization? I don't know. I'm sure he's doing his job and I'm sure he's doing fine. Obviously he's doing his job because BA's not signed, right? He's looking out for his client, but I think that complicates things a little bit. I do. I definitely think it complicates things a little bit. Dave says this.
I will say this, though. I will say this. This is more about BA versus Kyle than it is BA versus anybody else. I think this isn't BA versus Parag. This isn't BA versus the organization. This is BA versus Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when Debo was, remember the offseason when Debo said, I want to get traded and all these other things. And then Kyle basically came out and said, hey, I'm not worried about it. I haven't talked to Debo yet. Like, I know that when I talk to Debo, things are going to be fine, basically. He hasn't said anything about that regarding Brandon Aiyuk.
No, he hasn't.
So
now, one time has he ever kind of like tried to say, cooler heads will prevail? If anything, Kyle's actually said, he's kind of like tried to like distance himself from the situation. Like, hey, that's a business situation. This, once he gets over here to football, then we'll talk about the football side of things. But, Brandon's going to be able to handle his own contract negotiations. He really didn't wrap his arm around it. And if you think about it, he has, man. Like, he did it with Trent, intervened. When Trent was in the 11th hour about to get up out of here, Trent called him, Kyle intervened for him to go to Kansas City. Kyle intervened with Debo when Debo asked for a trade, flat out asked for a trade, said he unfollowed the Niners, the whole nine. Like, and Kyle had to step in for that. So I mean, you know, we'll see, man.
Yeah, and I also don't think that they necessarily have a bad relationship. I just don't think they're as close as what he is with other players. And I think that's pretty clear. I think we can all agree on that. That doesn't make the relationship bad. Just means it's probably more coach and player than it is friend. And that's why the issue may not get resolved in the same manner as some of those other ones. Dave says he's been a member for way longer than 10 months. I think it lapsed at some point or something, Dave. If I remember correctly, like you'd switch cards or something. And so it made you reset. He says, I'm here. How much did I miss? Not that much. Calvin says, same thing with Debo and Bosa negotiating their contract. Purdy said it's just business. I mean, that's the one thing that players will do, Calvin. And this is a good point. I mean, players will stay out of it for the most part. Hey, I've gone through negotiations. I know it can be tough. Do your thing. Yeah. That doesn't mean they don't secretly want him there, but they also understand, like, this is personal. This is your time to get paid. So do whatever you feel like you need to do. Dave says, Coach is right. Aiyuk wants Kyle to say he's good.
He wants the validation. I agree with this. He wants Kyle to have to put it on wax what he means to that offense. He wants Kyle to say, no, I'm worth everything you did to me. You're going to have to recognize what I do for your offense. Everybody else gets so much love for you, but from you, from Debo to Trent to George to Brock to Christian, but I seem to be the redheaded stepchild on this offense. I'm your fourth option, and I'm the only true wide receiver threat that you have. I'm the only receiver that actually makes your passing concepts succinct. I am the only receiver that actually makes the concepts that you put together have syntax that mimic the rest of the league. Outside of BA, what real receiver do we have, right? A top to down receiver. So I do feel like there is a side of this where I feel like BA is kind of being a little bullish on, no, I want this type of money. And I feel like it virtue signals to, I'm better than Debo. I'm better. You're going to pay me like I'm better than Debo. I'm a better receiver than him.
Well, I think they're friends, right? He and Debo are friends, but there's friendly competition. There's competition. People think, you know what I mean? They definitely.
You and I compete. Hell yeah, it's friendly competition.
Debo thinks he's better than Aiyuk, I'm sure, and Aiyuk thinks he's better than Debo. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I think Debo also knows, like, hey, listen, even though I think I'm better than you, it's your time to get paid. Like, I think he would recognize that.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I think yeah. Definitely there is that kind of like, all right, I'm not gonna get vulgar, but it's just like, hey, bro, you know, she ain't mine no more. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I want you know what I'm saying? You like it, I love it. You know, so yeah, I understand. Debo's probably on that aspect of like, get them for everything they worth, bro. So
yeah. I mean, I went through my negotiations. Now it's your turn. So do your thing. Okay. I didn't expect that topic to go 45. So we have two more, but as you know, I just had knee surgery, Coach. So I only got so much sit time in me before I got to start working this thing out.
You got to get that knee elevated, man. Got Jess in the cold tub. Jess is on IR, y'all.
So that being said, I'm going to skip the top 10 thing, and we're going to talk about Purdy and possible regression. Now, this isn't coming from you or I, but this is coming from a major publication, CBS Sports. And he basically went quarterback by quarterback. Does he think is there going to be progression? Are they going to stay the same, or are they going to regress? His number one candidate at quarterback to regress was Brock Purdy. And his explanation was essentially, hey, listen, he put up about as good a number as you could put up for a season. I think it's okay to look at it and say, hey, he might take a step back statistically. But what I found interesting was that's not all he said, because I could see that potentially, maybe looking at it. But he said He also believes that now there's a full year of film on Brock Purdy and teams might start to catch up to who Brock Purdy is. So, first of all, do you think Brock Purdy will regress? And then second of all, do you agree with the second sentiment, which is, hey, there's a full year of film. That's why he might regress. What are your thoughts?
Full year of film is a lot. I don't think he's going to regress, though. There's so much pointing him in the right direction. And I will say this. If he does regress, it'll be because it's a mental thing, not because of any of the things that we thought he could not do before. Brock has checked the physical box for me, right? That was a real question. Brock's arm has checked out for me, right? He knows enough what to get the job done. He knows enough, right? At some point, you can't complain about the caliber of weapon you have. You just got to be able to pick your shots in the right way. It's, there are no bad guns. There's just bad shooters. So I don't care about his arm anymore. His leadership is already there. That kind of came built in with the firmware. You know what I'm saying? With the firmware, that's already there. And he's gotten a full off season to work on the UCL, and not only work on the UCL, but just 100% worry about football, which he did not get to do in the previous off season. I just don't think that he's in a position to regress, man. The team is back. He knows the offense. I say this all the time. He's the only quarterback that's been able to survive Kyle Shanahan. Right.
I still feel like that should be like a 7-part series on Netflix or something.
Yes,
surviving Kyle Shanahan.
There is somebody waiting
like
to
a
do
documentary following
it's
Brock
like
Purdy.
Lord of the Rings saga. If you just line up all of the quarterbacks that have been through this man's offense, but like Brock is like, he's like Neo. He's the one. He's the one. He's able to survive in a sense where Kyle can blow games and nobody cares that Brock. Everybody's like, well, Brock did his thing. This is on you, Kyle. Right? Many quarterbacks have never been able to do that. Like Jimmy is in the Hall of Fame of scapegoats in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I think that the kid does have special quality. And this is the last closing, argument for me. I believe in the man. I believe in him. He's won me over. I don't think he's fugazi. I think that he's a legit kid. I think he's a real competitor. He ain't no punk. Okay. He's not scared of the moment. And he is the type of player where if he does slip or have, down games in the season, I think that he'll fight to get out. I don't think Brock is scared at the moment. I really don't. So I don't think he'll regress, especially if he's smart enough. Now, if he does regress, it's going to be all ego driven, in my opinion, because that's the true weakness that I see in Brock, is that he gets a little too cool for school and kind of thinks that he can control the tempo of the game. And that's not how football works. You get dictated to, not the other way around. You got to be like one of those special guys to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is the comment I agree with most, which is his numbers may regress. And that's like where I can partially agree with what this gentleman said. That, yeah, some numbers might regress, but I could also see some numbers getting better, right? I could see this going both ways, but I could see a number or two regressing. All right, I'm with that. But if the situation is the league is caught up to him this year, I don't believe that. Like, to me, I made this argument with Grant on Thursday. I think I did a show with him. Mm-hmm. And I said, a lot of people have said, hey, you know what? It's fine because we don't have to pay Brock Purdy this year. We're going to find out this year what Brock Purdy really is. No, you're not. No, you're not. What do you mean? Are you going to find out anything different than what you already know unless he just turns into a pumpkin? No. You're not going to find out anything different because the team is still intact. He's going to be every bit as good, if not better, because he has a full offseason. We know that with this team and at this price point, he can win. That's not going to change. Now, if it does, that's pull the fire alarm, but I just don't see that happening. I don't see anything changing other than him possibly getting a little bit better this year because he's had a full offseason. So I don't think like he's just going to fall off or teams are going to catch up to him. Now, what I will say is I think that there is a bit of a blueprint out there, but that was a blueprint last year, right? You don't think that Kyle and Brock are going to work on this said blueprint of, hey, play press man, make him throw into tight windows, make these receivers beat man. You don't think that there's going to be a game plan in play? If there's no game plan in place from Kyle, then that's on Kyle. But Kyle should have some things in his bag when it happens. And not all teams can deploy that, but teams will be able to. And when they do, what is Kyle's way around that? Because as long as you put the game plan in place and it's a good one, I think Brock can execute it. So whatever game plan or whatever blueprint there may be from last year, things change. Brock, I think, is pretty intelligent. He definitely says, hey, listen, these are things I need to improve on. This is kind of my shortcomings. So he's going to work through those. He's going to know, hey, listen, if I play X team that can run press man and whatever, then I got to change some things up. So as long as Kyle delivers a good game plan, I think we'll be okay here. So that's the way that I see it. I don't see him just taking a massive drop with this team as it is in place around him. I don't foresee that happening.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either. I mean, it would probably be, I mean, Brock isn't flying so high that if he did regress, it would be like the biggest drop off in NFL history. Like, I don't think it's that. No. I just feel as though that Brock seems very balanced in his approach, just his professionalism, how he goes about the game. Brock just seems to be always on top of everything. Like in many respects, like, Brock kind of reminds me of like a young Russell Wilson, just for the simple fact that Russell was just so dialed into like the little things, right? Like he had his schedule, like down to the fact that when he ate, how he's very clean cut, even the way he plays, even when he goes off script, there's still a uniformity to even his off script plays. I feel that way about Brock. And I just don't see Brock falling off or regressing based off of, number one, the team that he has around him. Okay, that's one. Two, his own aptitude and what he knows he has to do to get better. And three, Kyle. I just think that it's in Kyle's, best interest to make sure that Brock is always in the perfect position. And then we have that addition of Ricky Pearsall. We have I don't see it. I don't see it. And then to be truthful with you, the truth is that there's only maybe about 4 to 5 teams that we're going to play like real games where Kyle's not going to be able to draw up. All right, this is the weakest guy on their team. This is the weakest guy on their offense. You know what I mean? In their secondary. These are the things that we're going to do to be able to, single these guys out. There's only one Baltimore. There's only one Kansas City, right? He's not going to be able to see these type of games all the time. For what it's worth, Brock struggled against like some pretty good teams. So we'll see, but not likely.
Well, I mean, I think the NFL is kind of filled with mediocrity. That's how you've got Tua, for example, who will go a whole season and break like records really, and do this, and then he gets to the playoffs and is like, okay, or he plays a playoff caliber team. And it's like, all right, dude, like, got it. Now we see. So, but that's the difference. That's the difference between Brock and Tua is at least Brock is he's shown that he can work through some of those tough moments. He can show that he can have a bad game in a tough moment and kind of come through in the clutch. You know what I mean? So that's where players like Tua haven't shown that. So it's funny because you have such a small sample size with Brock and there's so much more we need to know. We know that there are certain game plans that give Brock problems. We know that if it's wet, Brock struggles. We know that if Brock doesn't have a couple of his weapons out, he struggles. But what we also know but that's what we know so far. That doesn't mean that things can't change, right? What we also know at this point is that if a game needs to be won and it's a tough situation, he's not going to fold mentally. And I think that's super important as well. Now, again, both of these are small sample sizes. Brock can regress in that area and he can improve in the others. Who knows? But right now, small sample size says all those things are true. Now, what's more important? Is that worth $60 million a year? I mean, that's for you to decide. That'll be for the 49ers to decide. So maybe we'll get a couple more of those situations this year, and you'll feel a little bit more comfortable and say, okay, Brock really can pull through in these moments, or he has overcome a rain situation, or hey, this team can go 5 DBs and press the crap out of our wide receivers, and Brock can buy time and make things happen. Maybe we'll learn a couple things there. I just don't think that a lot's going to change over the course of this season that we don't necessarily already know about Brock to be true or not be true.
Yeah. I mean, we got to bear it out. We got to let him play it. But for me, Brock is steady Eddie, man. Like I'm going to be so interested, bro, to see what you think of Brock once he gets paid. I'm going to be, because for me, that's when his career truly starts, when he gets paid. I feel like his career, like what he's done before is going to be, and that's what's fair, right? I know that, like, there are people who hear that take it as just like, well, it kind of sounds like you're waiting on him to fail, right? Or like you're kind of like waiting on his demise. And no, that's not the truth at all. The facts is that money changes things, and the moment he gets paid, no matter what he has done, fans are going to be assessing him for the price tag that he is now, right? And no matter what he did in the past, nobody's going to care about that stuff when we're assessing him once he finally gets his bag. So it is going to change, right? You can't say that it's not. But for now, he still deserves our grace. He's done nothing but answer the bell, came in, played lights out. He's had a couple of bad games, if that, and that's something that you almost feel embarrassed about bringing up now that you've seen what he's done, go making it to the Super Bowl. The kid is class personified, steady, stable. He looks like he's even getting better throughout this offseason. At this stage, and I'm not even here to say that the guy from CBS was trying to be snarky or speaking disparaging of Brock. He's got a job to do as well. He could really just believe that, right? So I'm not trying to single him out, but the truth is that probably one of the most safest bets of a quarterback to get better or to show improvement this year pretty much is Brock Purdy.
I think one thing we can agree on when it comes to Brock, and I've said this a few times, but I think regardless of, we can argue forever about whatever you think the ceiling is for Brock, whether that's top 3, top 5, top 10, top whatever you think that is, okay? I think we can both agree that whatever that is, Brock will reach it, barring injury, which you can't control that, right? But I think Brock will reach whatever that pinnacle is for him because he cares about this game. He loves this game. He's not going to cheat the game or shortchange the game or cut corners to reach whatever goal it is that he needs to reach. So whatever Brock Purdy's ceiling is, he will reach that barring injury. Can we agree on that? We can disagree on what the ceiling is, but as far as whatever his ceiling is, whatever that bears out to be, Brock Purdy will most likely reach whatever that ceiling is. You agree with that or no?
Yeah. Whatever Brock has to offer, he'll reach. Whatever potential barriers there are in his arc of progression, he will get through all of them. And that's something that most athletes will never say. I can't say that about myself as an athlete. I can't say that every plateau of progression that I had in my prime, I reached and passed through. I can't say that about myself. That's very rare for somebody to say that they played the sport and they literally got the best out of their body, their mental capacity, what they could do. And when they were done, there was literally nothing left. Not a lot of people can say that. So that's something that's very rare about Brock. I do agree with that.
But I mean, that's a really good quality. You know what I mean? Like,
Very
that's
good
a
quality.
really good quality to have.
Gassing out is basically knowing how to gas out. A lot of people don't know how to.
Yeah.
You think you're tired, right?
Yeah.
You
think you're at your limit. Yeah.
Yeah, you think you're at your limit, but gassing out is a skill. Knowing how to push yourself when you can't push anymore is a skill. And that's something that you have to admire, not only admire, but it's something that you have to respect in a guy like Brock. And that's what I mean. You know what? And I think that's what I mean about like him being steady, right? Where it's like I can just always know that no matter what Brock is giving me, he's trying 100% of the time, right? Like every rep, every play, without question, you know that Brock is not sandbagging you. He's not just going through the process. So that's something that I love about him, honestly.
I agree with that. Dave says, Jesse, listen to BB, stand up, keep the show going. No, it's more than that. I got to actually do like some exercises for this thing. Dave says, Brock's number will go down and the play will rise. Yeah, I think that's fair. Samir says, that's an interesting hypothetical. Would you be happy if Brock becomes the next Russ in all aspects of Russ and his resume and contracts? I'll take a Super Bowl. So yeah, if it results in a Super Bowl, I'll take it. I also don't have like crazy expectations that some people have for Brock either. So like,
hold on, I'm gonna answer this. So yeah, my man, Great One 765 said, Coach, I got love for you, but there's hundreds of players who give 100%. I didn't say give 100%. I said reach your potential. Like what I mean about Brock is that by hook or crook, you know that when Brock is done playing, either Brock is going to be told that he can't play no more, he can't physically do it anymore, right? Or his talent and his skill set is literally tapped out and there's nobody else who wants to utilize that. That's it. But it's not going to be his fault. It's not going to be on him. I understand giving 100% in the moment, but you can be out of shape all season. You could be out of shape all off season, show up to camp, and then all of a sudden want to give 100% and get hurt by week 4. Right? You can be very talented, okay, not coachable, but play 100% to the talents that you've been playing with all your college career, but you make mistake after mistake after mistake because you're not coachable, all right? But you're still playing with 100% because you play with all ego, right? So playing with 100% versus utilizing all of the aspects around you to reach your potential at all times, that's what I mean. There's a difference in that, right? There's a difference in looking at a kid and not saying he's a dog, but he's a winner. That's what people mean by somebody is a winner. When you scout somebody and say that he's a winner, that means this dude is going to do everything at all costs to win. He's going to change his skill set. He's going to change his position. He's going to play offense. He's going to play defense. If you need him to play the first play to the last play, you need him to run touchdowns and help the water girls and cheer at the same time. He going to do it. He's obsessed. That's what I mean by that. There's very rare players who are winners.
Yeah. I would say BA saved the Lions game. I think Brock did a good job in the Packers game. And I don't agree with this either, though. I don't agree with this one either. I don't think he choked at all. I think he met expectations.
What big game did he choke?
I don't know. I mean, to me, he met expectations.
He didn't like supposed to do it in the Super Bowl. I had no complaints about Brock in the Super Bowl. I
don't either.
We can't go through the whole season and give him adequate praise, tepid praise at times, right? Sometimes really great praise, But we can't say, we're being honest and we're being scrutineous of him. And then for him to go to the Super Bowl and have that performance and then try to act like he should have been Tom Brady against Atlanta. Like, no, this was not on Brock. He wasn't perfect, but he was nowhere near the reason why we lost this game. Brock did what he was.
It all depends on where the starting point is, right? Where's the starting? And this is where him getting paid makes this conversation very interesting, because the starting point is everybody's looking at him as an elite quarterback, right? Right now, you can look at it and be like, hey, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He's well outplayed everything. What do you expect from him, right? Or you can start from, hey, I think he's elite. Well, if you think he's elite, then yeah, he didn't do enough in the Super Bowl. I agree with that.
Right.
But if you think he's top 10 or borderline top 10 and a good starter in this league, like I do, then he met all my expectations in the Super Bowl. He did everything I expected. There was never a point where I went into that game and was like, Brock better put this team on his shoulders and go win it. I never thought that. That was never my expectation. So for me, he met my expectations. If that was your expectations, then he fell short. But I will say, CMC, Trent Williams, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, that was my expectations. Bosa, Fred Warner, those are the elite guys on the team. My expectations were that they would carry this team, and they didn't in the biggest moment. So I think Brock did his job. I think Brock did his job personally. I don't think he did more than his job, but I think he definitely did his job. I don't think he's the reason they lost that game. What?
I love your caveats. I don't think he did more than his job, but
I'm just being real. If he did, then he would have put the team on it. You know what I mean? But that wasn't the expectation. That was not my expectation. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Period. Brother Bob says Brock will regress without BA. F around and find out. Yeah, maybe. Depends on what Pearsall is.
This is what people don't understand. They've already
Pearsall's really good.
Treat this like corporate America, people. Okay. When you're about to get fired, the paper trail is already there. Okay. They've already been writing this up for months. They've been paying attention to every late email. All of the times you came late to meetings, you don't go green on Teams at 9 a.m. every day. And what they do is they wait for 6 months. They put it all in a nice report, and then they put you on a PIP. Okay? And when you get it on that PIP, you better start pumping that resume, baby. I'm telling you. So for me, they put BA on a PIP, man. Performance improvement plan. And when you get on a PIP, you on 30 days, man. So for me, I don't understand why people are like shocked about this, bro. Like once they saw this contract negotiation stuff, they engineered around this. They engineered around it. They were like, all right, new draft plans. We're into receivers. Like, let's get some receivers in here. We need to future-proof this. And that's how organizations work. It's like, we're not going to come at you directly, but we're going to cover our bases. We're going to make sure that if and when this happens, we're not left in the lurch. So that's for me. Like, they even try to go get Justin Jefferson. The PIP is real. Yo, if you don't know about the PIP, you on a whole new wavelength if you don't know about the PIP. They put BA on a PIP. And he didn't realize he had 30 days to get his act together, start getting in them timesheets, start coming to meetings on time. And now he's on the sling, and they got a paper trail on him. That's just what it is.
Yeah. I agree. Dave says, Samir, nope, Jesse is right. Rain games are bad. But that's just for right now. That's what I'm trying to say is like, this goes both ways. Like everything that you can draw up as a conclusion as to Brock being bad in this scenario, you have to also end it with an asterisk and saying it's a small sample size. Same way with Brock being good in X crazy scenario you want to throw out there. It's like, okay, yeah, he's good, but it's a small sample size. Like it goes both ways. You have to be fair both ways. You can't just be like, hey, he sucks in rain games and it'll always be that way. Because that's not necessarily true. Like he might figure it out. He's got the hand size for it. It's not a hand size thing. That's not it. And that's not, listen, and I understand what you're saying, Great One. Like the game plan was for CMC. I agree with that. But Great One, listen, right now, Brock is being paid peanuts. Like he's exceeding the expectation. Now, again, this conversation gets interesting when he does get paid, because the starting point right now, the starting point is whatever you want to make it. Some people say, hey, he's elite. He's Josh Allen. Okay, well, then let's have that conversation because he's not. Some people say he's buns. Well, he's not that either, right?
He's not buns.
The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So when you're having exactly, but when you're having the conversation right now, I think the reality of the situation is he's exceeding expectation based off of where he was drafted and where he's being paid. Now, the moment he gets a $60 million a year check, he better be elite because you're paying him to be elite. Now that's when you can say, hey, he hasn't changed. You're praising mediocrity. We still haven't won. By the way, pieces are being stripped away and his numbers are dropping and so is his play. Okay, we'll have that conversation then. We'll have that. In fact, we're going to have it all next offseason because he's going to get paid a lot of money and some people are going to agree with that and some are going to disagree with that. But in this very moment, if we're assessing who Brock Purdy is and did he meet expectations in the Super Bowl, I think that it's a resounding yes. I think it's a resounding yes.
I agree.
So,
he more than met expectations. He did a great job. This one ain't on Brock. I mean, to say that he's going to regress this year. Let me put it like this. If Brock Purdy regresses, the Niners regressed as well.
Right.
I don't think there's a world where Brock has a bad year and somebody's not hurt, somebody's not performing. The Niners go as Brock goes right now. For now, the Niners go as Brock goes.
I agree. Now, if you want to argue a CEXIV, then you got an argument because he thinks that he should have carried us in the Super Bowl because he thinks he's better than Josh Allen. So you guys can have that argument. Dave says, I didn't say, oh, I'm getting mad feedback from your end. There we go. Dave says, I didn't say that he can't get better just right now. No. By the way, Dave, I know exactly what you're saying. You're actually giving him credit. I'm just saying in general, when we have the conversation, it's all based off the starting point. And Dave says, Brock is a B-, slightly above average, great cast. And a great cost too. Like both those things matter. So,
right.
All right, y'all. Listen, good show. Thank you all for showing support. Even though we were a little bit late, you stuck with us. Coach, thank you so much for getting through the BS in the beginning, making it work.
My guy, man.
Appreciate y'all. Shout out to the Celtics. Sounds like they won the championship.
They won?
Brother Bob's happy. Other people are going to be happy as well. I should be back. I think I'll be back. I don't know. I don't think Sunil can go tomorrow. So maybe I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe I won't. We'll see. Until the next time, though. Peace.